Hello everybody and welcome to episode 2 of Clutch the Caffeine. Now apologies, this video is going to be a day late because yesterday I was stuck in bed, unable to move, really ill. I love migraines very much. But that's not going to bring me down. We are back for the second episode today, and I just want to say thank you so much for all the lovely and positive feedback I've got about the first episode. It was way more than I was expecting, and it's lovely to know that people are sort of watching actually, because it's easy for me to talk to this camera, but hearing people actually enjoying it and I'm getting feedback from that means a lot to me, because then I actually know there are people behind that lens, which is sometimes quite easy to sort of disconnect because I'm just speaking into this black box, and then that ends up being on the internet where everyone can see it, and yeah, it's just weird, but it's great. My notes phone has crashed. I love old iPhones, give me a sec. The Mazda MX-5, the adorable little ragtop roadster that everyone who doesn't have a problem with their masculinity loves, has now celebrated its 30th birthday. What have Mazda done? Mazda have done what Mazda does best. They've painted it a new colour and given it no more power. This 30th anniversary edition is based on the 2-litre one. You can get it in either the RF, the hardtop convertible, or the regular soft top. It has 181 horsepower, as does the standard. It has Brembo front brakes, not rear brakes, but I guess, you know, front brakes is something, given the fact it doesn't need a lot of braking power, given it has no power. And other than a lot of badging indicating that it's a 30th anniversary, it receives a set of specifically designed race wheels, which look amazing. They have 30th anniversary stamped into them. They're built specifically for this car, and they look rather great, I have to say. Oh, I've hit the mic. Inside gains from a mixture of black leather and Alcantara, bright orange stitching, and more badging, I imagine. Now, they're only building 3,000 worldwide, so I suggest if you do want one, go and run down to your local Mazda dealer and shout at them until they give you one. But I would get one if I had a spare 28 grand lying around, but I don't, because I'm a student, so I will stick with my 60 horsepower Fiat. For the soft top, it comes in at a cool 28 grand, which is about 2 grand more than the regular soft top, but I think for the bragging rights it's probably worth it, and also the fact that it's like painted. Like, you're never going to lose that in a car park, are you? Next news. Bugatti have celebrated their 110th birthday to themselves, since nobody else did, and created the Chiron 110 Ans Bugatti, which is a big fat 115 horsepower present to themselves. It is a standard Chiron Sport, as if sort of saying standard or regular Chiron is anything to go by. And it's been painted in a matte blue paint, and it has some gloss blue carbon fibre on the back, and a lot of French flags everywhere. I mean, God knows how much it's going to cost, but I mean, it is a Bugatti Chiron, so many millions, and given the fact that you can spec those things up for probably another couple of mil, let's assume this one is going to be north of 3. Oh, and one final thing to note, on top of the many millions you're spending and your fancy paint and French flags, you also get a medallion in solid silver that comes in the glove box of the car. Why? I don't know, but I mean, I don't see that in your Vauxhall Corsa, do you? I mean, that has to be the biggest piss off I'm rich statement I've ever seen. You buy a car and it comes with a solid gold silver medallion in the glove box. I mean, I presume it does come in some sort of presentation tray or something like that, but the press statement made it look like it was just thrown in there. In other silly car prices news, this Ferrari F40 has just sold for £4.2 million. That's just shy of $5 million or euros. That's just... This is no normal F40 though. This is an LM model. I mean, given the fact that the standard F40 had 430 horsepower from a 2.9 litre V8 with twin turbos, and weighed just over the weight of this Audi specially selected red Pesto. That's not bad going, you have to say. Ferrari have clearly looked at the standard F40 and gone, no, this isn't good enough, and they've given it 700 horsepower. 700 of a car built in the 80s that weighs just over a ton. That's Lamborghini Aventador power in something like my Fiat. That's terrifying. It's mental. This particular example was the third ever F40 to be built, and one of only 19 that were converted to LM spec. Well, I mean 20, but Ferrari don't want us to talk about this one. This particular example raced in Le Mans 24 Hour in 1995 and finished 12th overall, which isn't bad going considering it was racing up against cars like the McLaren F1 GTR. I mean, who's heard of that? And I mean, you also have to consider that this car was nearly 8 years old when it raced in 95, and it still came 12th out of nearly 50 entrants. Now, in rather impressive and incredible news this week, a blind racing driver has set the 9th ever fastest time around the Top Gear test track in the reasonably priced car, the Toyota GT86. A blind racing driver has gone round that track in top 10. That's mad. Now, Dr. Amit Patel, who set the lap, had the added weight of an instructor telling him where to go, and I must imagine there's an incredible trust between him and his co-driver. And you've got to think that there's the added weight of a co-driver, which some people would say an added person is a couple of seconds per lap, so God knows what he could have done. And I don't have any jokes for that, that's just amazing. American Tuner Hennessy have done what nobody expected and added more power to a car that didn't need more power adding to it. They've taken the McLaren 600 LT, a car Chris Harris himself describes as pretty bloody quick, probably, and added several hundred horsepower to it. You can now choose from 3 packages if your standard 600 LT is not cutting the mustard for you. There is the 700, the 800 and the 1001 horsepower packages. Top package incorporates a custom ECU, custom exhaust, upgraded turbos, and some other stuff that I've forgotten. Some air has been added to it somehow. And it can go 0-60 in 2.1 seconds. And it does a faster quarter mile than a Bugatti Veyron. The one thing to note about the 1001 horsepower package instead of the others is that it comes with no warranty. And given how McLarens run normally, I imagine you want a warranty with an upgraded one. News from Stuttgart. Porsche Classic have gone to town on a Ferrari GT and fully restored it, and it looks, amazing. Back in 2004 when the Ferrari GT was launched, it was a blend of this modern technology, this amazing innovative stuff, and sort of classic older rage car tech. So it had a 5.7 litre V10, probably one of the best sounding cars that has ever been built, mated to a manual gearbox with very little driver assists. It's a fabulous blend of the two. Some synergy going on there, I can tell you that. The body was made out of carbon fibre. The carbon under tray had air channels in it to create more downforce. The list is as long as my arm. And even the seats were made out of a mixture of carbon and magnesium. There's no doubt here that the Ferrari GT is an iconic car. The howl of the engine, the looks, the sort of active aero, the fact it's also a convertible, it's all amazing. And this one just, cements the fact that Porsche committed to restoring them and getting them up on the road again. Despite the fact that very few of them are run down, but people with the sort of money to buy a Ferrari GT probably can afford to take it to get it restored in the colour of their choice, because most of them back in the day came in silver and black and maybe a couple of red. Far too many people had them in silver. Everyone was obsessed with silver back in the day. Look at the McLaren SLR. This particular example, it's finished in oak green metallic, which looks rather great. Gold badging. You can take it or leave it. Gold wheels with a polished edge, looks rather fab, and the inside is interesting, although I do like the houndstooth inserts. That's a nice little classical touch. And the final news for this week, Nigel Mansell's championship-winning 1992 Williams FW14B is coming up for sale in July at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. He won 9 races in 1992, clenching the title with 5 races yet to go in the season. That was his only World Championship year, making his car even more iconic. Now, Big Nigel's car is described as fully working condition, which is great, so hopefully it gets run a few times. I personally saw one back at Silverstone Classic a couple of years ago, and it just looked and sounded fantastic. It is expected to raise around £3 million when it goes up for sale, and my pockets are empty, but I wish they were full. The Williams FW14B was an absolute game changer in Formula 1, bringing things like hydraulic active suspension that detected which way the car was turning in and adjusted the suspension accordingly to mean it can carry more cornering speed, traction control, amazing aero. It's always a good sign when you've made innovations in Formula 1 that the FIA, the governing body, bans it the following year. It's too good. And one thing to note is this is expected to raise around £3 million when it goes on sale, and the F40 that was just sold raised 4.2. And the F40 is great, but this is an iconic Formula 1 car. So I don't understand why the F40 was more money. But I guess the F40 is more likely to be driven in classic events. It's still qualifiable for that kind of thing. And the 14B is going to likely end up as a very fancy paperweight, which is a shame. But hopefully the person whoever buys it, the lucky sod, is going to bring it out and use it. So that's the end of episode 2 of Clutch the Caffeine. If you enjoyed it, please do like, subscribe and share with your pals. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Stay hydrated.